Hello guys and girls, it's Blackjack with 396 Guitars. We have our favorite Epiphone on the bench today. This is going to be the last video in the series. I have some guitars over my shoulder that are waiting to come on board and get some work done. We'll talk about that later, but right now it's my favorite Epiphone. Let's get to work. Let's get our camera set up, you know the drill. I have us zoomed in because it seems like sometimes the camera has trouble focusing. I don't know if it's because I'm too far away or too close, but we're going to try it this way. You'll notice that I took off the pick guard because we are going to be putting, finally, from the other side of the planet, we've been waiting for our little Epiphone stickers, emblems, whatever you want to call them, appliques, to go on the pick guard. When I received the guitar and was tasked with restoring this guitar and making it into something that is playable and usable, from the previous videos you've watched the series, this is going to be hopefully the last one because this guitar is done. We've restrung it, we've cleaned it, we've done everything that we can possibly do. It was the last thing I was waiting for was the emblem to put on there. I certainly am not going to try to attach that emblem with the pick guard on the guitar. That would just be foolish. I got to tell you, this thing has been sitting for several weeks since I strung it and did all the intonation and neck relief and string height and everything that this guitar would, any guitar for that matter, would normally get in a normal setup. And every time I pick it up, it sounds like it's in tune, and it pretty much sounds like it's in tune today. I put it here before I started filming and I plugged the machine in to check the tuning, and every string was a little bit flat because these are all brand new strings, but it's been sitting for 2 weeks, and every time I go into my studio I grab this before I start working on music or whatever I have to do for my band, and it always sounded awesome, and I go, oh, beautiful. So when I plugged it in, everything was a little bit flat, which is normal for when you restring any guitar. You know that. You've seen all my videos, some of them, restringing guitars. It was amazing to me that almost every single one of them was flat the same amount. I tuned it up to pitch, and they were almost all a cent or a cent and a half flat, which is just the strings stretching and getting used to being a usable instrument again. So here we are today. I got it all tuned up to pitch. I hate to pick up this guitar every time I touch it. I get my fingerprints on it and I have it so nicely restored. Today we're going to put that emblem on the pick guard. We have done the tuning. I must say it took me forever to source a case for this guitar, because if you go back to the first video, you remember the guy pulled this out of his trunk and gave it to me, and that's how this saga started. He thought because it said Epiphone that it was just a cheapy 80s or 90s whatever knockoff. Well, since then we know what we have. Of course, this is a beautiful survivor example of a 12-string Epiphone from the early 60s. I have tried to date it to a specific year, but we're going to call it a 64 or 65 because that's where it is, somewhere in that neighborhood. We did the guitar case. I finally found a semi-rigid guitar case for it. A hard shell case was going to cost thousands to get a custom case built for this guitar. That was not in the cards. I went with the semi-rigid case, and I got it, and I was very pleased. It was for an ES 335 Gibson not a 12 string, but the case was long enough, and that was always the problem with the longer headstock. I could not source a case for this guitar, and at some point, some guitar player, some guitar guy or some guitar girl is going to want this guitar and give it the life that it deserves, a new life, a rebirth, and play it and use it, because that's what this guitar deserves. And that's where we're going to go with it eventually. We're gonna sell this guitar. That was originally what I was tasked to do. So let's put it on pause. I am going to emblem the pick guard, and I'll be right back when we get that done and install it. Anything beyond that, just hang on there for a second. Okay, so we're back. I'm so glad that I pulled the pick guard off to put that on there, and that I paused the video, because that was a little bit of a chore. I'm just now tightening up the pick guard and putting it back into position. Let's get everything put together. And again, never over tighten this stuff. It doesn't vibrate. It's not a motorcycle. It doesn't need to be super tight. It just needs to be snug. So you can see the new emblem on there, and every previous video that we did on this guitar, it never had that, and it looks like $1,000,000. I'm going to tell you from now, that was a little bit of a trial. Thank God they sent 4 of them in there. I burned one up. I figured it would just stick on there, but I wasn't happy with that, and it seemed to stick, but the edges were kind of sticking up. So I cleaned it up again with some naphtha, made sure because I have cleaned this pick guard, so it had probably a coating of wax on it. I should have remembered that. But beyond that, I had to put just a little dollop of CA glue on each corner and wherever there's an edge to hold it down, because to follow that contour, these emblems are actually a type of really soft metal, and they're meant to follow the contour of that pick guard. It took a little bit to get it on there, but it is on there. It is not coming off, and there is actually a little piece of plastic over the top of it that is supposed to just peel off. Let me get my bionic eyes on. You know, like on every pick guard on every brand new guitar, there's that plastic that goes over the pick guard. Well, this has got the same kind of stuff on it. Never mind my bald head. Let me see if I can peel that off and see if the camera picks up on that. It's right there. It wants to come off. Sometimes they don't always just pop right off. It's trying to peel off. Come off of there, you. There we go. And the big reveal. Brand new. Brand new. And that literally completes what we've done here. There's a little piece of plastic film over the E emblem, and you can see that sets it off. That's what finishes it. I think that this guitar is going to be a beautiful instrument for someone someday. This is the last video in this series. It is tuned up. It plays like a dream. The guitar pick guard is back on it. All the electronics work. I've got 30 hours into this guitar, but every minute was well worth it. I cannot wait until some really good guitar player that loves guitar gets it. A guy, a girl, it doesn't matter. Some lucky girl or some lucky guy is going to get this guitar and really give it and breathe it new life and play it in a band, I hope, and make music with it. Anything further than that, the only thing I have to do is put the truss rod cover back on it, but that is it. I'm going to wipe it down and get all my fingerprints off of it after cleaning it and playing with it. I'm glad you guys came along for the ride. We'll talk soon.